1 minute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yo, what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Well. This is April the 15th, Thursday evening, April the 15th, 2021. And you are with The Well, the encounter, The Well Encounter. And we are so excited to have you. I'm your boy, Pastor Ramon, a.k.a. Pastor Ray. And I'm so excited to be with you. If you're on, I want you to just go ahead and comment and let us know that you're watching so that we can acknowledge you and that you can be a part of tonight's conversation. We here at The Well, if you don't know what The Well is, we are a community, a faith justice community that we just want to embrace spirituality, embrace love, and just share it. And so, listen. Tonight we have a really hot topic, a really hot topic, and I cannot wait to get further into our conversation. But I want you to go ahead and like this post. I want you to go ahead and share this post. I want you to comment and let us know that you're here. What's up, Ida Robinson? I see you down there. That's right. If you're here, go ahead and leave us go ahead and leave a comment on so we know you're here. Like this post and then share it on your page, share it with your network, share it as much as you can. We want people to be a part of the conversation. And here's the great part. Our hashtag, and I don't know if I've ever really said this a lot, our hashtag is The Well Is You. You know, because The Well is you. This is the place where you get to participate in the service and in the encounter, and we get to talk back and forth. What's up, Miss Nikki? What's up, Mom? I see my mom's on. What's up, Manika? I see all of you all are coming in. That's right. Go ahead, comment. Let us know that you're here. Go ahead and share this with your network. Listen, we got an amazing guest with us tonight. And, of course, our regular panelists, 3J and Brennen, are on with us. I do want to share with you that what our motto is here. We believe that you encounter the well, you become the well, and you emerge and share the well. And so that's just like you. The words are synonymous with encounter Jesus, become more like Jesus, emerge and share Jesus, encounter love. Become love, emerge and share love. And whatever great positive words you can put there, we like to go ahead and put those words in there. Listen, we do have the 5 P's that The Well likes to share with people. Everything that we do here should lead you down the path of the 5 P's. And so any of those P's, you have peace, power, promise, purpose, and passion. Any of those 5 P's, those are the 5 P's. There it is. Passion, purpose, promise, peace, and power. Everything that we do should lead you down the path to one of those P's. So let us know if you feel like we've been enlightening you and helping you to move down that path. Listen, The Well is not about giving the right answers. I know a lot of times you go to church, you're in ministry settings, and folks are all about trying to preach to you and give you the right answers, and nothing totally wrong with that. But we do like to also, what we like to do is our platform is we like to ask the right questions. You know why? Because when we ask the right questions, it allows you to do the digging for yourself and find the God within you and find the answers that God has already given you. None of us know everything, and so we don't pretend to know everything, but we do want you to go ahead and find that knowledge that God is giving you, that wisdom that God is giving you. That's right, Ida, become the well. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, yeah, so tonight we are talking the hot topics. This is our hot topics month, and we have titled this one, The Hate You Give. Last week we talked about is the church to blame, and this week, there it is, we're talking about the hate we give. Has the church become oversaturated with hate in our political world, in a politically correct world, in a world where we oftentimes are having political conversations from one side or the other side, where we've gotten engrossed in the world of entertainment? A lot of times we're experiencing a lot of hate, And we just want to know, is the church a cause or a place that we find all of that hate? So listen, without further ado, I don't want to hold up and belittle the hour anymore. I want to bring in our other two panelists, which you guys know and love, Brennen and 3J, and our guest panelists for the day. So Amplify Network, Jackie, why don't you go ahead and bring in our beautiful, amazing, handsome panelists? What's up, fam?
Yo,
So,
yo, what's poppin'? What's poppin'?
Listen, I'm so glad that we're back at doing this thing. Brennan, why don't you go ahead? I mean, I don't feel like I need to introduce folks to you anymore. But Brennan, 3J, why don't you go ahead and take a quick second and greet our folks that are on with us, our well family, and our guests for tonight, and then we'll introduce our guest who is with us.
beautiful people, black at it again. We black at it to win. It's your boy B. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, what's up, beautiful people? Your boy, Minister 3J, aka 3J, Jehovah God, Jesus Christ, and justice. Without the three, we can't be free. It's an amazing night tonight. Let's get it.
And listen, I am so excited to acknowledge my sister who was on. She is someone who has been, when we had the well in person, she had been there a few times actually, and she always kind of comments different times on our posts. But she's an amazing sister, an amazing wife, an amazing mother, an amazing friend, an amazing minister. She's a beautiful person, both inside and out, and I'm so glad to have her on with us tonight. Minister Kim Carr, good evening to you, my sister.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm very humbled and honored to be here tonight and looking forward to it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So listen, we're going to dive right in, and I want to say what's up to my cousin Donald, who is on. Hey, Donald, good to see you. We're going to dive right into our conversation tonight. There is a conversation. We're talking about the hate that we give. It's a provocative title, but I love it. Our first question for tonight is this, guys. The church has often expressed its views on the social issues of the times. I mean, we've seen the church when we've dealt with the Black Lives Matter movement, or whether we've dealt with civil rights, or whether we've dealt with the Holocaust, or whether we dealt with the Crusades. The church has always sort of given its input about different social issues. So its political tensions continue to dominate our world. We see things happening every day, and politically, we see stuff sort of escalating, and the tensions that we see. The church so often seems to be divided within itself. There are people that fall on all sorts of sides of the aisle when it comes to our politics. My first question for us tonight is: do you believe that the church has become more focused on hate than love? And let me just explain a little bit more. We talk about the fact that there's so much tension and so much divide sometimes in the church, or I go to this church because they believe this thing, I go to this church because they believe this thing. And so it's like, well, because they believe I need to be here, and then we see this hate that sort of emerges. No, I don't like them. I don't want them to be a part of our church. Do you think that the church has become more focused on hating each other, maybe even subliminally or subconsciously, than it has with loving each other? And Minister Kim, I'll let you start off as our guest tonight.
Thank you. I would think that is it focusing or is it allowing
Mm.
the divisiveness that promotes the hate? Because when we talk about our politics, when we talk about our stances, um, a lot of times we talk with emotions. And so when you bring people together that have different sides, different points of views, we also bring in our emotions. And when they don't collaborate, when we don't agree, then it explodes. I think we all have found this out at the typical, we say we don't talk about politics at Thanksgiving because it's not going to be a holiday anymore after that. Um, I think in our churches, I know what my husband does because he's the pastor of Nichols Bethel. Uh, we as a ministry team have always, first and foremost, no matter what the conflict has been in churches and churches we've come to, our focus has always been we have to focus on Jesus first. We have to focus on Jesus first. And if we do that, then I think focusing on Jesus helps us stay in our lane. And a lot of times we cross that lane and that causes a lot of problems.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. I like what you said in the beginning when you said, or do we allow it? That's so interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Brendan, I see you shaking your head, man. What do you think?
I think I do. I think she did definitely took a creative approach to it, and I kind of want to mirror that in saying that I don't think that the church is focused too much on hate. I think it's more like the love of comfort, and what has felt comfortable, what has always been, and I think that sometimes when new things are presented or opposing views are presented, it's responded to as a threat to what's comfortable to us, and that that
Mm,
in any time when you perceive something as a threat, your response isn't very friendly most often. And so that's where I think some of the actions then are perceived as hateful, but I don't think it's necessarily that all the time. Of course, there's always cases where there is just pure hate involved, but I think for the majority of people, it's not necessarily a hate, but it's just a love of what is comfortable and kind of a fear of what an opposition or what sometimes what feels like or may look like a seismic shift would be. Like what does that do to my comfort? The fear of that change sometimes is a motivation as well. So I don't necessarily know if it's that the focus on hate, but more just the love of what is comfortable.
mm. Yeah, it's crazy because I've been talking a lot in some of my ministry settings lately about this comfort piece. I think sometimes we get too caught up in wanting to be comfortable. And I
Mhm.
always tell people that comfort is not something that the Bible ever promises us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, matter of fact, you guys go check out the bridge on Sunday. I'm preaching a little bit about that, but comfort is a place that good shout out, right?
Right. Shameless plug. We'll allow
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But we find ourselves in this place of I want to be comfortable, and I don't think we realize that when we're trying to be comfortable, we sometimes are not in the will of God, right? Because
Right.
I mean, look, you look at Jesus. Look, I mean, he was not allowed to be comfortable at the end. Like, you know. But 3J, I want to, and listen, as we go to 3J, I just want to share with people that 3J is actually, you all know, his son is overcoming his second bout of cancer. And so tonight he is actually at the hospital, which is why you might see some folks kind of walking back and forth in the background. But he's such a loyal person. He made sure that he was still on with us. And so we appreciate that, 3J. But what do you think? You think the church is focusing on a lot more hate than love?
So give a disclaimer: when y'all see my camera go off, that means somebody's walking through. So just so they don't, so just give a distraction. But to answer the question, I really do not think that the focus focused on hate whatsoever. I think it's all focused on love. I believe when, like with Minister Kim and Bren was saying, when the differences come, we don't recognize the hate that we end up expressing when we come to our differences and stuff like that. Like we don't, because we don't like something, we end up letting go of something that may seem hateful and not pay attention to it. You know what I'm saying? Thinking this, oh, well, it's a disagreement, but at the same time, we're not paying attention to the energy that we're giving off with it. So some may just consider it as hate. Some may just consider it as, oh, they don't like it or whatever the case may be. But either way, no, I don't think it's based on hate whatsoever. I just think we don't pay attention to the hate that we can end up getting out, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. I see that Miss Nikki, our main commentator down there,
Chat
she says, I think
queen,
the
chat
church,
queen.
you know what I'm saying?
Commentator.
Chat queen. She says, I think the church focuses too much on politics, both inside and out, which then begins to cause the hate that we see. So kind of with that being said, we have these headlines like George Floyd that's happening, and the trial of George Floyd that's happening right now. We see the murder that happened in Atlanta within the Asian community, And do you all think that we should be involving ourselves? And I'd love to see this in the comments too. Do you all believe that we should be involving ourselves in social justice issues? Do you think that that's something that the church should be on the front lines for? And I'll let anybody go ahead and answer that one.
I'll jump out the boat. I think it's absolutely something that the church should, be in response to, but I think in a responsible way. Um, I don't think that it's kind of cookie cutter, and we should have kind of a templated response to situations like this. But I think as we, the church is the people, and so anything that affects the people, I believe the church should be involved in, and again, measuring its involvement based on its responsibility. Our responsibility is to be light and to be love in all these situations. So I think that when the church is involved, we have to find ways to be light and love in these situations, and to lead, our communities, the people around us, even the people who are in opposition of us, and if that be the case, to lead in love. It's not always easy, and I know, listen, we all sin and fall short, and especially in moments of heightened emotional stress and mental stress, and even now, understanding that we've all been dealing with a pandemic that nobody knew about, for that nobody expected, for the past over a year now. Like there's a bunch of stressors, and I think that the church has a responsibility to respond, because the church is the people.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's
I believe.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, this way. This way. No, that way. Ladies first.
Yeah, I really liked your answer, Brennan. I think it's how we respond, I think is important, and just like you said, to be the light and the love. And you're right, it's not hard to do when people do acts that are irreversible, and lives are taken, and no one's a winner.
Right.
The one who did it and the one who is the victim of it, and it's hard. It's hard because once again we let our emotions take the front row, and it's hard to take a step back and say, okay, what would Jesus do in this situation? If this was my family member, if it was my son and my daughter, and the first thing we want to do is act, is react. And but I love your answer on we have to focus as children of God to be the light of God and to respond as the light of God. I love your answer.
Yeah, go ahead, 3J. Yeah, I was gonna ask 3J.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's such a dilemma. I'm not there with you, so we would be like that. But since we're in separate places, kind of hard. Short and quick. Yes, I do believe the church has a place because the church is a representation of love. And to make it short and quick, the politics need love right now. Like they need a love, a whole. So with that, that's the reason why I say that yes, the church should be involved, because they need that love. They need the love of Christ right now. They need the love of God right now in order to be able to serve and help the people. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we should. The church needs to be up there talking about this and being involved just to give that love. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, Nikki says Jesus was all about justice and treating others fairly like the Father. When it comes to people being mistreated or those that don't have a voice, like Brennan said, we are the light, the salt of the earth that stands up for them. I've said it before, the church should be the biggest advocates for the community, not the politicians. That's so interesting. And so what I love about having you on, Kim, is that, right, like, so we get to hear a lot in the media right now about the Black community and the African American community, and some of the things we go through. But can you? And I'm going to ask you this question, but I want you to share a little bit of your story. Just talk about some of the things that you see happening within the Asian community, and how that might have affected you. But can you just talk a little bit about even your growing up and what it meant for you to be identified as Asian American, and how you sort of you know, the different things you've kind of had to deal with or encounter because of that.
A little background on my story. I was born in Seoul, Korea. I was an orphan and I was adopted at 1 year old. My mom is German, my dad is Irish Catholic, and I grew up in Chicago. And Chicago at the time, and still is to a good degree, is a very segregated. Chicago and its suburbs were very segregated. So, for example, the community I grew up in was an all-white community with maybe three Asian families. Uh, our community was next to a black community, and lines were never crossed. Um, so growing up, I guess an outsider would think, growing up Asian in a white community, it would be fine, but it actually wasn't really. I got a lot of teasing throughout my life, and I thought as I grew up, that would go away, and it didn't. It didn't become an everyday thing, but it was enough where it was an issue. It was an issue on my heart. Ironically, I've said to several people, and I think, and I've even mentioned this at the well the last time I was with you guys. Most of the racist shade that gets thrown at me, ironically, is not by white people. It's actually by other ethnic groups, and even actually, I get a lot from the Asian community, believe it or not.
Mm.
So when we talk about racism, my perspective is because I see a lot of focus on the white community and the black community, and really our focus needs to be on everybody because we're all susceptible to being racist. All of us are susceptible. So when we address racism, we need to address all of us. We're all accountable in this pool. So unfortunately, even to this day, I receive remarks, and as far as all this current situation of a lot of the anti-Asian movement, I'm still a little befuddled by it. I said to down in Georgia, actually, to me, didn't from my point of view, it didn't seem to be purposely focusing on the Asian community. It was just, to me, looking at the backstory of this man, he had a problem, and he acted out at the source of the problem, and unfortunately, it was Asian women who were killed. But we see, and I was just reading on Newsfeed today, we see a lot in California, New York, other places around the country where people of the Asian community are being focused on and assaulted. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I know for me right now, I feel okay walking around. I don't feel threatened or anything. But I think when we look out for each other as people, I think we need to look out more for each other. So if you're around somebody who says a racist remark, or if you're around somebody who does something cruel, speak up. Defend the person if you're able to protect the person. A great example of this is when my daughter was in college at UMD. One of her friends, he was on a bus and he saw a young lady being, some words were said to her, and he stood up for her. Where a lot of people just sit and quiet word, it's, I don't want to interfere, and he stood up. And I think we need more of that. I think we need more of looking out for each other. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's so interesting because I love that I love that we were able to ask you that question. One of the things we do like we like to do make sure that people understand hear the well is I like to make sure that there are all types of different perspectives, and I like for those perspectives to be heard. And I just think it's good for us to have these kind of conversations. I mean, one of the things I love is that you're Asian and though you don't represent the whole community, you are a part of that community, and I got to say that because a lot of people will sometimes, well, she's Asian, she speaks for the whole community. She does not speak for the whole community, but she's a part of the community, so it's important to be able to ask her that question, right? But to be able to kind of say, I think one of the things I do love that you lifted, and there are people who would definitely, I think, have a difference in opinion about what we term or how we use the term racist, because there are folks, and I do want to acknowledge that, who will say that racism cannot be something that a minority ethnicity can participate in, and so I do want to acknowledge that that is something that a lot of folks do believe in. But there is absolutely, and I think it goes with the title of what our conversation is, there is absolutely hate that can come from everywhere to anyone. And we do definitely see that hate thrown from all races to other races. And I think we have to acknowledge that even more. That's not to take away from the racism or the hate that other folks give or the dominant culture gives, but there's absolutely hate that I think comes from all places and from all ethnicities, and I do want to acknowledge that. Brendan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that is just hurt people, and so for a lot of us, especially a lot of minority communities, from experiences of racism, prejudice, slavery, encampments, any you know, and no, then there's we back, we good.
Yeah, I think okay. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I snapped. All right. My bad. My bad. I was out of there for a second. Uh, no, I mean, I think it's a yeah. If there's no real healing done from any of those oppressive systems or any of those moments of where like the system basically just oppresses people and holds people down. Like if there's no healing for a community, if there's no reparations, if there's no understanding of what happened and how it affected people, then yeah, I think that like that cycle of hurt is going to continue. And part of it is the natural response a lot of times is to not feel that hurt again. And so to do whatever it takes not again. And sometimes that looks like, me, in various ways taking on the same actions of the people that hurt me. And so I think that turns into kind of that hurt people. And I think that's where a lot of the minority issues as far as prejudice or hateful speech or actions toward another race. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. But I think, Kim, it was interesting. I didn't. One of the things you said, I think you said that you didn't know, or you weren't sure that the acts in Georgia were based in race. I think that is an interesting take because I thought that part of what the perpetrator, his I guess, and I am not an expert on this case. I have done my best to kind of protect my own peace and try not to dive too deep into holes that I can get lost in. But I think wasn't his part of his, I guess, attraction to Asian women, or was that not a factor in it?
I think, from my understanding, he was attracted. He had a sex problem.
Yeah, right.
And
I
so
mean,
he got his fix at the massage
a few
parlor.
other problems too, but yeah.
They know us. I keep it real. So he had
Yeah.
a sex problem, and he fixed it at the massage. And for whatever, something triggered in him, and it became violent. And yeah, yeah.
Cause see, I think part of my thought, and this is again coming from some community, but in my thinking was that even though I understand that his sexual preference was Asian women, and that was more of the motivation. I think that, you know, even if it is a preference, the fact that it was this specific group um, does to me add an element of racism, of prejudice, of just hate towards a culture or a group of people. And I think part of it is because of like the thought that I would attribute to taking that action or to feeling that way of taking power over this group that I I move around, so I'm going to take power over the situation and eliminate, you know, quote unquote, this group. And so I think that that does, for me, it does enter an element of racism and, you know, just overall cultural hate. And that, so I, yeah, that's why your response absolutely was interesting to me to actually hear it from someone who is Asian that they didn't, um, attribute it to that. So thank you for that interesting perspective.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, and one, not to like labor on this point, but I think, right,
Mhm.
that's a great place that you mentioned, Brennan, too, because I think that is something that we get to see where there is this disagreement even, and some
Mhm.
folks would say, I mean, and I'll admit, right, like I know Kim has mentioned she does not see it that way. Definitely there's some Asian friends that I have, one she had invited to come on, who definitely does see it the opposite way. So even with our own communities, it's important to sort of highlight that we have that there are differences even in our own communities. um Nikki, one of the things I want to mention, Nikki says, shoot, we have hella hate towards each other, especially in the black community. And listen, I kind of cringed, but I'm gonna tell you why I cringed. Kim said something earlier. She said one of the groups that she gets a lot of hate from is in her own community, in the Asian community,
Mhm.
and I think that's something that we don't address a lot, but we have to actually. I think, and I'm telling you, it makes me cringe, but we have to address that there is hate within our own communities to our own selves sometimes, um, and that's something that unfortunately is real, but it's true.
You know
You know what
my
I'm saying?
favorite J. Cole bar, man. You know my favorite bar. What good is taking over when we know what you're gonna do? The only real revolution happens right inside of you. Like it has to
Yeah.
start with us, no matter what race or community or even individual is in power. If we don't start that revolution within our communities, within, you know, the black community, the Asian community, Hispanic community, the white community, you know, like whatever community we're involved in, we have to start those changes and one to create spaces like this, like, you know, where we can, you know, have someone to present a perspective that is different from ours, and she isn't attacked for it, you know. It's just like, oh, that's different, but I feel like, you know, I feel different because of this reason, and being able to take time to listen and understand, versus, you know, judging because of a different view, is really, man, how it starts, and it has to start.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, 3J, I'm gonna bring you in here, man. I'm gonna tag you in. Do you think that we'll ever get to a place that people? Do you believe that it is? It's a two-part question. One, do you think that's possible? Two, do you think we'll ever get to a place where people see each other as just God's people and less focused on the ethnicity or the race of a person?
So to answer that question, keeping in this exercise, I'm just about to let people walk through right now. But to answer the question, the first question, yes, I absolutely believe it's possible. Why? Because I believe God's possible. I believe Christ is possible. So if we serve a God and we serve Christ that is as possible as they are, yes, it is very, very possible for it to happen.
Mm.
When did it happen? When everybody decides to seek God. that's, that's the most blood I can get when we all decide. Well, let me change that. When we all decide to seek God in Christ, as well as move in the way they want us to move in order for it to happen, that's when I believe it'll happen. When we decide to put all
Yeah.
our differences aside, when we decide to put everything aside, you're black, you're white. Who cares? I love you. I love you too. That's all that matters at the end of the day. You know, until we get there, you know what I'm saying? That's when it's going to change.
Yeah, Nikki, I'd like for you to answer that in the comments too, sis. if you think that we'll ever get to that place where we'll just see each other and just being, God's humans, God peoples. Kim, Minister Kim, what do you think? Do you think we'll ever get to that? You think it's possible? I love your answer, 3J, by the way.
I'm looking down. I'm looking up. My mom is watching.
Oh, hey, Mom.
God love her. She's
Hi,
her.
Right.
mom.
Hey,
I'm doing
Mom.
everything. Hi, mom. Hi, mom. Oh,
Hi, mom.
um, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Minister Kim. Sorry, real quick, Minister Kim. Bro, is Grandma on? Because I don't feel like
Right.
getting cussed
Yeah.
out tonight.
Grandma's
Is
on.
Grandma on?
Grandma's on.
All right,
Hi,
Grandma's
Grandma.
okay,
on.
let's go. Go ahead, Minister Kim. I'm sorry.
I looking back at this question, we focus so much on how different we are. I think a lot of times we should embrace it. God made all these flavors of human beings, of his children, for a reason. So, from the way we wear our hair to the way we dress to the way we speak, from our backgrounds and our cultures. I mean, the of all of us is a beautiful thing. Um,
Mhm.
but I agree with 3J. And we've had this discussion. Let's face the facts. Hard fact is racism is never going to go away. It's never going to go away, because as long as there's sin, as long as hearts can be cold, it is never going to go away. So let's be real. I see the signs like end racism. It's, we can make the efforts to make this world better, reach out to people with the light of God to hopefully make their hearts better. But it's like everything else. Murder isn't going to go away. Rape isn't going to go away. Racism isn't going to go away. Judgment isn't going to go away. So as Christians, the best that we can do, going back to Brennen and his amazing answers, is be the light of God and show how we respond as the light of God, and keep our focus on the light of God, because through all the evil in this world, that is the only thing that is going to sustain us, hold us, and endure for us. And
Mhm.
and the problem right now, Dan, and this might lead into your next question, Ramon, is that our society, our culture has strayed us so far away from God, and we're
Mm,
poisoning ourselves with negative words and negative images, and 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 now with this year of pandemic, we're not in church, we're not hugging each other, holding each other. It's been hard. It's been hard for Christians, and the devil likes opportunity. So there
mm,
you
I
go.
yeah,
like that. I like that
yeah.
response.
It does, Kim. I'm going to move into the next question. I do want to, so Nikki did answer the question. She said, I think we can get there, but it's going to take a lot of work, and we have to be willing to put work. Like Minister Kim said, the beauty of relationship as a whole is embracing our differences. If we can learn how to understand and focus on love, then we'll be in a better position. However, hate will always be here in the end as long as sin is in the world. Um,
Amen.
And
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
yeah.
thanks.
My sentiments were kind of a mix of 3J's and Minister Kim's. It was
Speak.
honestly, so. So 3J, I disagree with you a little bit. I think we do have to embrace our differences. I think that's the best way for us to um, really appreciate God's creation. He created us differently, and He did it for a reason. We don't know that reason. We don't probably fully understand that reason, but it was, something in His grand scheme of things that allowed us to all be different, and we have to embrace that because that's how He created us. To deny that or to try and force everybody to be the same is denying the greatness of God. And I'm not in line to do that. So we have to embrace those differences and find ways to allow everyone to be themselves in all spaces. Mhm.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
so Kim, you did move us into a little bit more. You talked about the things that the world kind of pays its attention to. Listen, let's get
Yeah.
into this. Last month, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion performed to their song WAP.
Look at it.
Wet. And I can't. I'm not even gonna say the next two words. Sometimes I say certain things. I'm gonna let this one slide. But all my women and some of my men out there, you know what it means. The wet, behind for the A, and
I know
the
that.
front
I know
for the
that's
B.
worship and praise.
We can move on.
Worship and praise. But
Worship and praise. That's what it is. Worship and praise. That's what I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they performed to this song on the Grammys. So many people in the church have voiced their opinions both about the song and of the performance. So responses have varied. On one side, you got people like Candace Owens, who expressed her outrage over what has been deemed way too raunchy. I mean, Candace Owens and Cardi B kind of got into it. She's like, it's too raunchy. What are you doing with our young black females? What kind of model are you presenting? What role model, what example are you presenting to folks? And then there are others who are on the other side and say, look, this is women empowerment. This is women taking back their liberation. And it's women being able to rise to a new day and a new dawn, a new era. I think my question about this is really not is it wrong or right, but more about should the church have opinions about this type of stuff? And if they should that opinion be heard? And should we even should we even indulge in this type of conversation? Is the church?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know why? The number one reason why is because of our youth.
Mm.
Absolutely. I was thinking about this question, and I had a thought on this. Between the battle, like, is it raunchy or is it women's empowerment? Well, let's look at the two different classics. If you look at Cardi B and you look at Diana Ross, who do you think is more classy? Diana Ross didn't have to do any of that to be magnificent. And she is magnificent. Amazing singer, beautiful, classy all the way, and she didn't have to do any of that.
Mm.
Our youth are taking Hollywood as their moral high ground, and that's a very dangerous path.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Because
Brennan, like go ahead.
our young women are looking at it like that's okay, and our young men are looking at it like that's okay, and it's not.
Yeah, Brennan, you look complex, man.
Yeah, because I think no. I do. I agree in some aspects. Like, listen, I'm not. I couldn't have been Quavo. I'm gonna just say that. I don't know how I would feel if, performing those dances on stage. Hey, listen, it ain't for everybody. It ain't for me. But at the same time, I think that there's elements in it that one can be appreciated by the church, but then also with again with the responsibility to make sure that we teach our youth, our anybody watching, even our adults, like how to process things like this, and not, and I think sometimes not even to just look at it as face value, but how do I, when I see an image like this, like what is my process for accepting this information? Like, what am I getting from this? What am I learning from this? How do I interpret this for my life and myself? And I think that that's something that the church sometimes has neglected in some ways, is to teach us as Christians how to process these things so that, in a lot of ways, it doesn't become an issue. Because I think, we can, I think, we can absolutely teach our kids to watch a performance of the Grammys and help our kids understand that, one, this is a performance, And this is something that one Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, or any of the other ones who've done it, of Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, anybody that has, had a provocative performance, we or even men, even the men who brought, but had provocative performances and things like that. We can teach our kids to understand that, one, this is a performance, and that this is an expression of art, of their feelings, and also I think that we can teach kids that, and adults that, like, I don't believe Cardi B and Megan are doing this all the time, and just walking around everywhere, doing this, and for me, it's something that, listen, if you do that in the privacy of your home, in public, it's just not the thing for me. But also we have to teach, and I think this is something that we have to teach Christians, that we have to respect people's rights to make a decision. And while we may not agree with that decision, it's their right to make it. So in a sense, it's like, and for me, it leaves me kind of in a weird place sometimes, because while I listen again, I couldn't have been Quavo, but I also respect Cardi's right to choose and do, as they done in their relationship. I respect that. It just couldn't have been me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I understand that. I understand that
Mhm.
everybody has the right of choice in that. All I know is that I've had, I've been in youth ministry for over 25 years. And the last few years that I was running our youth and young adult program at Nichols Bethel, I came up with, and it was explosive, an all-girls lock-in. And they needed it like we need air and food. And
Yeah.
every lock-in, what we talked about was self-esteem. And I can tell you that every single girl out there had this much. And every single girl out there is trying to find their worth in Hollywood, is trying to find their worth on the phone, and is trying to find their worth in boys. And
Yeah. Mhm.
and even though Hollywood has the right to do what Hollywood does, we are in a spiritual battle with our youth, and that God has better plans for them. And because it's unfortunately because of their young minds and their sometimes poor decision making, um, they're not just taking it as face value; they're taking it
Yeah.
at full value,
Mhm.
and they're emulating behaviors and lifestyles and whatever else, and we see the results of our culture affecting our youth. I'm sure all of you know, we see the results in very dangerous ways. So we see suicide rates going up. We see, I mean, a lot of self-harm. I mean, more than anybody
Mhm.
wants to admit. We see 100% of them have been bullied. And I tell you, once again, as Ramon knows, I keep it real. So when I talk to my youth, we talk about all aspects, and we talk about um, sex, and we talk about their culture, and I used to let them make let them make their decisions. I try not to put the mom hat on too much, but if I saw something on Instagram, I called them out. I said, check your heart on this one. Check your heart. Check your heart on this one. So there was a funny meme that said, "Oh, I saw the pictures of your Instagram, and for Christmas, I'm getting you clothing and a Bible."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but as adults, we have to be accountable to what we expose and allow our youth to, because they're the ones paying the price, you know.
This
Yeah.
is this area is a little difficult for me. And I have to admit I struggle with this one a lot. I do want to read Miss Nikki. She says, "Yes, Brennan, teach the difference between fiction and performance versus what is reality, and teach them
Mhm.
accordingly because that's our responsibility. But if we leave them to learn from the world and have these images, then we can't be surprised that this is what they emulate. We have to get ahead of it and stay ahead of it and teach them, but also be honest about life." I wrestle with this one a good bit because So you mentioned Diana Ross, I think is who you mentioned. And again, I want to say I'm wrestling. This isn't even for me to make a point so much as me to express sort of my battle here. I think about people like also like Patti LaBelle. I think about people like Prince. I think about people like there are so many different other artists, Madonna, who at some point in their career they were the Cardi and they were the Cardi and Megan, that were doing what they did, and I mean we love Patti LaBelle, we have a lot of respect, but Lady Marmalade was not the church was not behind that like at all. It wasn't like they were ready to throw Patti LaBelle off the stage and out of church permanently. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so with every new day, with every new dawn, there comes this new place. So on one hand, that's the one place, right? I struggle with evolution that we need to sort of wrestle with and figure out how we embrace it or not embrace it. But the second piece that I kind of argue that I wrestle with is so when people talk about women's liberation, and I'm not a woman, so I don't want to pretend to act like I know what that is totally. But what I can kind of one of the things I draw from it or see is you do have people like you know Nick Jonas or um, I'm not saying he's raunchy, but Ariana Grande. No, let me use men. People like I think we mentioned Prince before. People who are able to get on stage, open up their shirt, flex a little bit, take their shirt off if they want to. People like Usher who can hump the ground if he wants to. You know, and I think I'm not, and I don't want to argue that I think it's right. So please hear me. What I think I what I think is one of my struggles is when people say women's empowerment and women's liberation, a lot of times they're just saying if it's okay for men to do it, right? Then why is there such a double standard when women do some of the same things that we see men do and it's not looked at or talked about as much, right? When a guy gets on the ground, and I'm talking about from pop to R&B to rap to whatever form, and humps the ground or does a little sex tease thing with the females on stage, it's kind of like, oh, that's just them. This is entertainment. But then when we get two women on stage and they're doing some of the same things that men have done for decades, there's this big hoopla about, well, no, like that's real raunchy, and I can't believe they actually did that. So I do question, right? Like if there is a double standard, and if we do need to sort of address that sometimes, even regardless of whether we see it as right or wrong, but I do think there's a double standard that has to be addressed sometimes. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect sense.
I think it's there. And I think part of it is because we I think we misfocus on where our attention is in the wrong place. Because I think that a lot of kids, they, and even adults, we emulate the behavior of the celebrity to receive like the praise and adoration that they got for what they did. And so like we'll redo a TikTok because our friends will like it just like the other person that they saw do a TikTok, and they'll share it and they'll comment and they'll do. So it's like that kind of, we do it for that reason. And I think that for what we have to do is like really for anybody, try to figure out like what it is about that they're seeking that they aren't getting from church, because I think that that's what happens is a lot of times they don't get whatever they want or whatever they're searching for from church or from their church community or from the people around them, and they find something that might not necessarily be what they want, but it gives them that feeling. And it may be that feeling of acceptance. It may be that feeling of understanding where they are or where they are in life with their bodies or something like that. It might be, it could be something where they're in a place and they just don't know what's going on, and they don't feel like the church is giving it to them, but they feel like they can find a piece that they can grab onto and try and find some like community to help them understand what they're going through in this moment. And that happens to be this piece of music or this dance or something like that, you know. And so I think that if we focus in on what that is, what's missing, and what they are searching for when they go to, you know, make the TikTok video or be in this, you know, arena that we don't feel like they should be in. I think if we figure that out, then we'll know how to better respond and how to help people make a more informed decision, where they don't feel like they would have to do these actions to get that attention or to get that feeling.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, and I think that goes for everybody. That
Mm-hmm.
if we as a church are missing something here, and missing the points, then yeah, people will find other avenues to
Yep.
fill the void, and they may not all be healthy avenues, and so yeah, you're right. I mean, the church can always do better. The church can always step up, and yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Oh, can we do a shout out to Miss Nikki? I saw her comment about when I said sex. I'm like, sex, Miss Nikki. She's like, ooh.
I think not to bring it back up, I'm gonna lie. As an artist, and as well as just a man in general, I was conflicted. As an artist, I understood. I haven't seen the performance, so let me put that disclaimer out there right now. I have not seen it. However, if it's like the video, I can imagine what it was. So, I understand art. As an artist, I understand the performance. I understand the art. You know what I'm saying, behind certain things, which leaves me conflicted because, like, well, it's art to me, so I didn't see it as a certain way. However, when it came to being the man that I am, it left conflicted because Minister Kim said it best. Our youth are watching this, right? And so with that, the question goes, where should the church be? The church should, when we look at things like this, we should take this as a teaching method. You know what I'm saying? With a lot of people threw out the whole thing about Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion being dressed in a certain way. They were too sexy. You know what I'm saying? They weren't modest whatsoever. Well, use that as a teaching mechanism. Show how it is, what it is for a woman to be modest. What is modesty actually to a woman? You know what I'm saying? And just as Minister Kim said as well, we have to learn how to show people and teach. Yo, you don't have to do this to be accepted. You don't have to do this just to get that name out there or what you do. She mentioned Diana Ross. We can go with Whitney Houston. We can go with Yo-Yo. We can go with Queen Latifah. We can name a lot of even female rappers back then that did not do this, that had a big name to themselves. You know what I'm saying? So times changed. However, we still can use those things that we are being shown today to teach, yo, this is how it's supposed to be, or I believe it's supposed to be like this, or the word teaches this. So with that, let's teach that and just push it out there like that. I think we should use what we see now as teaching mechanisms. You know what I'm saying? Not just, oh, no, they're bad. What they're doing is not of God. Okay, you're saying if it's not of God, teach them why it's not about God. You know what I'm saying? Teach them what is wrong with it, why God isn't getting glory out of that. Tell them why it makes him angry or he's disgusted with it or why we consider it a sin. Use these things as teachings instead of just pointing out saying, oh, that's not right. That's nasty. Our culture is going down. Teach. The more we teach, the more we give understanding, the more we can possibly change everything that's going on. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a fire answer. Yeah, I see that JoJo is on a friend. JoJo, not JoJo, who different JoJo than the JoJo we usually have on. Says we must stand apart from the ways of the world. Celebs trends are used only to distract, mislead, and corrupt. It's all a trap. It leads only to destruction.
I disagree.
Yeah. So
depending on the trend.
So let me ask this question though, because I think he leads right into our next my next question is, do we think that we're able to, in this world of conservative Christian, liberal Christian, political Christian, entertainment, non-entertainment, are we able to come to a place where we actually can say, I disagree with my brother down the street or the churches down the street, and actually still agree in peace to disagree without hating on one another and saying, "Oh, you're going to hell just because." Right? Can we do that?
Absolutely. Once we put God in the equation.
First and foremost.
And I think once we understand that it's like we all
Go
have
ahead,
a
bro.
personal relationship with God. It's not
Mm-hmm.
my relationship with God isn't the same as Ray's or 3J or Minister Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are some principles that, listen, God is who he is, and just like any person, like there's some certain things that, just don't align with who he is as a person, or as an entity, as a being. But I think that, we have to understand that our relationships, and I think where we are in our relationships is different. And so like with that understanding, I can understand that we might disagree on this point. But if we serve the same God, at some point we'll find the common ground. There'll be a place where we both understand, like, okay, listen, I thought I was 100% right. Maybe I'm 25% right and 75% wrong. I can agree that I was wrong on this, but now I see, because of our relationship and the community we've built and how God has helped us to understand together, how we can be better.
You touched something, Brennan, when the 100% thing. I think, this is just my thought, I think if believers stop thinking they're 100% or they're always right when it comes to speaking about whatever conversation, we will be able to get our differences out. Like us, oh no, well, the Bible says this, and I studied this such and such, this is what it is, and I said it. No. I'm sorry, let me get the scripture correct. Be slow to speak and quick to listen. And it's just that simple. And it's a reason why that is. Because you speak out so quickly, my dude, you could be wrong. I'm sorry. Like, you could talk about something you don't know and be wrong about it. I think if we stop that and stop thinking, oh, because I'm this high or I have this level to me, so that means I know it all, and we erase that and come common ground, and just like everybody else, we could be able to move. But that's just me. I don't know.
No, I think that's an excellent point. I think our listening skills we've thrown out the window. Instead of listening, like you say, we are so focused on being right that we're not even listening to the other person, because while the other person's talking, we're just focusing on how we're going to counter instead of just listening. And so that's an excellent point.
Yeah. No, I think
I
you're
think for
right.
a lot of people, that's what listening is thinking of my response. Like, what are you saying that I'm going to respond to? And it's like, no, you can just listen to understand what I'm saying first, and then you might not have a response because you understand my point, and you might disagree with that, but your response might not be needed.
Yeah, I think Nikki says it. She says, mind you, a lot of what we study are other people's opinions and interpretations of the scriptures. I think I want to make sure we point that, because there's in psychology, you learn about nature and you learn about nurture. And what we have to really start embracing in the world and as Christians is we have to understand, when people are brought up, a lot of times people take on the beliefs of whatever their parents or the generations of their their parents, their grandparents have taught them. So we don't always get to totally form our opinion. I think Pastor Jeff said this last week, and I love what he said. He said, when we start recognizing that people are born with their own personalities as kids and they come into this world as people, yes, we do have a responsibility to guide them, but we do have to recognize that they are their own people, and we have to allow them some room and some freedom to grow up and to learn some things on their own. I tell you, there are kids that I meet now, and there are folks that I meet now. Matter of fact, I met somebody yesterday who came to the bridge to help record, and we were talking. He was like, I asked him, because I just met him. I said, do you identify as a Christian? He said, not necessarily. He said, I am spiritual. I do believe in God. And I hear so many people have this answer. He said, but I also believe in some of the practices of Muslims. He said, I tend to read some other things. Look, as a Christian, I want to be the first to tell you, I personally, as a pastor, don't have a problem with that. I think that you should read other things. I don't think you should just read the Bible, because then you're ignorant to things that I think you should know, right? And so even if we look at it from a really, really strict Christian perspective, would you not want someone to understand the tricks of the enemy, as we would say, right? Like, so
So
you need to know these things. You need to be well versed in this understanding, and you need to be able to be wise enough to sort of know, right, all the things of God, but all the things of the world too, so that you can be knowledgeable, right? And I think we got to get up out of that high horse. Well, if you don't believe what I believe, then nah, we can't. That's already. I think Nikki said we've already cast our judgment, and we've already started to move into hate. And like Kim said, we're not showing or executing love in that moment. We're not embracing people. So yeah, if you're watching, folks, please share, leave a comment, but definitely share this with your network. Share with folks so they know we're on. Thank you, Jackie, for reminding us constantly to make sure people are commenting and share. Our super producer Jackie back there. But I do think that's what causes the hate, y'all. I think we just get so quickly to the place we want to judge and condemn because people don't agree with our opinion or our theology, and we're not willing to listen to folk.
Right. I think we become a culture of, if I'm right, it validates me.
Mm.
absolutely, I absolutely
That's
agree
good.
with that. I agree with that.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, so how do we teach people that it's okay? How do we teach people that it's okay for folks to have a difference of theology or opinion without and teach people at the same time that they don't have to condemn or hate a person for having that difference of theology or opinion? How do we teach that?
I think you're the
I
prime
think.
example. I think leading by example.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
How you behave, how you have a discussion, lead by example. And it was an excellent point when you brought up the different, my husband has traveled the world, and he has sat down with leaders from the Muslim, community, from Bosnia, from all different walks of faith. And he walked away with their utmost love and respect.
mm,
There are lessons we can learn from other cultures. Like, he came back and he said, when I was in Turkey, I gifted them a Bible, and they openly accepted as this utmost gift, and they treated this Bible better than a lot of Christians do. They took it, they wrapped it, they blessed it. I mean, how many Christians do that?
mm-hmm.
There's a lot to learn from each other, but we have to be open to it. It doesn't mean that you're not a Christian because you're exploring, and looking at other faiths and learning other cultures. It doesn't mean you have to disown who you are. It just means that you're more open-minded, and your heart is open. And the bottom line, guys, the bottom line, just be a decent human being. just, just be a decent human being.
I'm with Minister Kim on that one. The follow up what she's saying on, I believe understanding. I have a quote that I've been living by for like the past 10 something years, and it's to know me is to understand me, or to know me is to understand me. And what that is saying is, in order for you to know me, you have to understand me. So first thing, understand I'm different. I don't look like you. I don't act like you. I'm not you. So with that, I have a whole different opinion. I have a whole different talk. I have a whole different walk about me. I'm different from you. That does not mean that we can't agree. That means that we can't disagree. That don't mean that we can't sit face to face and talk. Minister Kim said, God created flavors, like all type of flavors. So with chocolate, vanilla, butter pecan, rocky road, cookies and cream. Now, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's flavors. So with that alone, I'm different. Understand that, and I think when we gain knowing and accepting, understanding that people are different, we can move with everything, as well as putting God in the midst of it.
Yeah. I think as Proverbs 4:7 says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom and with all thy getting, get understanding. I think we got to become more understanding of people and more willing to understand people. I think we talked like last week we talked about Little Nas X. This week we're talking about Cardi B and those folks in the entertainment arena. We talked about political leaders. We talk about Trump. We talk about Biden. I think one of the things we got to do is for folks who are defending whatever side that you fall on. A lot of times, listen, it's okay to have your own opinion. I don't think anyone's saying don't have your own opinion, but I think it's important is you're talking to somebody to talk, and I think Kim, you mentioned this, right, like not just listen to react or respond, but listen to actually understand where somebody is coming from, right? I think you can have so many disagreements and listen to somebody, and you're like, you know what? I kind of disagree with that at first, but the way you put that in that perspective you put it, uh, I might need to give that some more thought. It's okay to say, I want to think about this some more. And I think the other thing that Christians have to do is be able to say, and I say this all the time, but I want to continue to say it, especially on this platform, Christians don't have all the answers. There is no one on earth that has all the answers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like we have to be willing to admit that. It's like we want so much to be so profound, especially if we are a part of the church. Well, God says this. And so when people ask us questions, we think that it makes us look ignorant or naive if we say, I don't know. It's like all of a sudden, right? I think Kim, you said it. We're less validated if we say we don't know to ourselves. But what we got to find is the validation of being able to say, you know what? I have no idea. It's something that I need to study more. I might need to, what do you think? I might agree with whatever your thoughts are, but I just don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Agreed.
With that being said, man, we'll close out. I do want to ask this question: if you could give folks who are possibly watching tonight, or possibly going to watch, oh, you know what? Let me. Miss Nikki did say simple. Teach what love actually is. The problem with it is that so many people, including a lot of Christians, don't really understand or know what love actually is, which is more than just an emotion or feeling. Miss Nikki so well stated. Love is definitely more than just our feelings, our emotions, and sometimes we got to realize that people respond out of emotions and out of their feelings. Right? Sometimes people are just passionate, and it's okay to be passionate, and we got to give people we have to validate that people should be okay being passionate, but in your passion, allow folks to also express their other opinions and their views. As we close out, I would love for you all to talk about your sort of in closing what you think, how you practice it. So there are folks that are watching that they see us and they're like, there's this beautiful platform or this platform is kind of new. How do you practice love in your environment and in your community, and just as you as a being? How do you practice love, and how would you offer other folks to practice love?
Okay. So what I do it's called the Christian Planner book, and you can write in it your like daily goals, weekly goals, whatever. One of my categories is acts of kindness. So it helps
Mm,
keep me accountable. How many, whether it's small or big or paying for someone's meal, whatever, it holds me accountable. Have I sought out an act of kindness today? And I try to do that. I learned from someone in our church. I love her dearly. And I took from her, live with intention. Like, I'm going to wake up today and intend to be a good person, intend to be
mm,
kind, intend to do something that hopefully will touch somebody's life, even in a small way. So, like, if I see another woman in the store, no matter what diversity, ethnicity, um, if she has a nice outfit on or if her hair is looking good, I'll walk up now. I say, excuse me, ma'am, I just want to let you know you look beautiful today. I love your hair or whatever. Or if I make sure I listen to God too. Like a lot of times if I'm in a fast food drive through, it touches my heart. Like, Kim, you need to pay for that meal behind you, and I'll do it.
mm,
Um, so, I'm human. I fall from grace every day. I fall on my face. I make mistakes, say the wrong things, but I try every day to be the example of God, like Brennan said. I try to be the light of God and to smile, be polite, be kind, be what? Be a decent human being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, man. For me, it's pretty much the same, man. I just strive every day to make myself better, to be a better Brendan, and to help the people around me do the same. I think that's the best good I can do is for all of us to be ourselves, and we'll figure out where we fit in.
Yeah. Yeah. 3J, what about you, bro?
Shoot. Oh, my bad, y'all. My bad. Give me 1 second. I was trying to pull it up. Matthew 22, starting at 36. Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law? And Jesus said, you shall love your Lord, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I'm going to stop right there. With
Mhm.
that last portion, in order for me to love anybody out here, I have to love myself. So every day I make sure when I wake up in the morning, even at night, when I lay my head down at night, I'm loving myself 24/7. Because if I don't love myself, it's impossible for me. And this is in my belief. I believe that if I don't have the love to love myself that I have for myself, it's going to be impossible for me to treat anybody else that way. To me, it's just impossible. So with that, I make sure I love myself every day. I make sure I motivate myself every day. I make sure I get up and say, you know what, bro? Despite what everybody says, you're good. You're a good man. You do good, and that's just going to be. I give myself that so I can be able to pass it on to everybody else. And with everybody else, with them, honestly, have a good day on purpose. And that's how I go. I literally say to myself every day, I'm going to have a good day. Not because I'm about to get some money, or not because I'm about to get a new video game, or not because, just whatever. I'm about to go get Cinnabon or something. I purposely have it because God gave me the day. I know that sounds real fat a little bit, but don't judge me. God gave me this day because He gave it to me, and with that, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to love it, and I'm going to do everything possible in my day to have a very good day. It's a mindset. So I just put myself in that mindset every other day, and I encourage everybody else to put your mindset of that. Just say, you know what, I'm going to have a good day, despite of what's going on. It's going to be a good day. That's just me.
Live with
And 3J, that's
intention.
so true. And with intention. And 3J is so good because 3J actually really does every morning or some point in his day post, even on his Instagram, a devotion. And, he tells people to just have a good day. And so I can stand by that he actually really does that. My aunt is on. She says, Anna Doya, she says, treat people the way you want to be treated. Do good to everyone, not evil. Pay the toll for the next car in line. And
Yeah.
so thanks, Anna Doya. I love it. Uh, and then it's so interesting because Helen, who is a top fan of the Amplify Network, she says, I did that yesterday. The car whose toll I paid flew past me so fast and didn't even look my way. So glad I didn't do it for praise or thanks, but she did it from her heart. Yeah, so Helen, thank you for doing that. Even if they didn't say thank you, we thank you for doing it. And I want to say that I think what we do is we show love. I think I try to do as many things like this as I can, where you can bring people together who have differences of opinions and different views, and just sit people down and have a real conversation and allow room for people to agree, to disagree, but then to love each other at the end. I think that is just a way that we all can practice loving each other, is to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations and still show love. Uh,
Amen.
with that being said, thank you so much, everybody who came on tonight. Miss Nikki, Helen, Anadoya, my mom, Miss Kim, Minister Kim's mom, all the folks who have commented, JoJo who was on, the guy JoJo who was on, everybody who left a comment. We love you, Donald, my cousin Donald, everybody who was on. Listen, if you love this platform, if you embrace this platform, we want you to consider partnering with this platform. So we would love for you to consider investing in this platform. You're already a part of us because the well is you. It doesn't exist without you. You can do that by texting to give any dollar amount to the number 84321, just like it is in the picture. So if it's $100, just put it in there, $5, $50, 5 cents, whatever you're willing to give, whatever God has laid on your heart to give it, and give it generously, and we will receive it, and we will create a bigger and better platform for folks to have more conversations like this. You can also visit our website at www.encounterthewell.org. And if you go to our website, you'll always see the events that are posted. Or you can also go to the last slab. It says give, and you'll give it there. You can give there. Follow us on all of our social media at Encounter the Well, both Facebook and Instagram at Encounter the Well. And if you want to just get in touch with us and ask for prayer, or you want to get in touch with us and talk with us, or get to know, even if you want to acknowledge some conversation you'd like to see us have, you can go to our social media, follow us there, DM us, or our website, or wearethewelldc@gmail.com. wearethewelldc@gmail.com. Fam, y'all know it's been real. I love y'all. Minister Kim, thank you so much for coming and rejoining
Can
us
I just
tonight.
say
Go ahead.
something real quick?
you.
Real
Yes.
quick. Pastor Ramon, if everybody in this nation just watched this show and this episode on how we handled conversation, it would be a much different country.
Mm.
Real,
It would.
but real enough.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why we want people to like this post and share it. And share it with your churches, y'all. Like, if you're in church, share our programming with your churches. They need to be able to see programming like this. That's why we do this platform, and that's why we do it. Hey, listen, one more shout out to my man Terrence Sams, who is part of the Amplified Network team, whose birthday
Happy
is today. Happy birthday, Terrence. We love you, man. We are so happy to know you. And we hope you are turning up in whatever way you choose to turn up and have a good time. You and Kim both are April babies.
Stretch those legs.
April babies.
That's it, man. So listen.
Thank you.
I think that was him there. I think that might have been him saying thank you, right? The voice.
Yeah.
That was the husband of God.
Right.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we appreciate you. And we're gonna go and hop off, and we'll see. Oh, next week we're talking about cancel culture. So we really hope y'all come back. We are talking about cancel culture, and we're talking about, should the church be canceled, and is the church
canceled
being
in the
canceled?
process. We're gonna get canceled in the process.
Man, that's gonna be a deep conversation. 3J, your mic is, I think, muted because I can't hear you, bro. There you go. There you go. I hear you.
There you go. You back.
Hey, look. The hospital said, "Yeah, we're tired of you being on our Wi-Fi. Get off." And they kicked you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's crazy. Miss Kim, I don't know if you saw Nikki's comment. Love you all, Minister Kim. You're so beautiful. And my mom says the same thing. It's especially nice to see Minister Carr again. Shout out to my mom and my grandmother who are on. Yeah, so Minister Kim, you're always a pleasure to have on. We just love you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you for
you.
having me. Loved it, you guys. Loved it.
Definitely. So again, join us everybody next week. Cancel culture, cancel church is the conversation. We'll see you then. We love you. Get ready for the
And ain't
conversation
nothing you
next
can do.
week. And there's nothing you can do about it. Peace out.